A CBS News investigation of last month's massive food warehouse fire that blanketed parts of Los Angeles in smoke is still having an impact on families and businesses. CBS News chief correspondent Matt Gutman has also looked at the sheer number of fires surrounding the cold storage company behind it.
We have an active ammonia leak on the roof.
The facility, run by Lineage Logistics, a multi-billion-dollar company and a key player in delivering the food to your freezer, burned for 8 days.
This is not an industrial zone. It is a mixed neighborhood with shops, with homes, and multiple schools within blocks of here.
It's one of the biggest industrial warehouse fires in the U.S. in recent years.
What you cannot see is the stench. It is absolutely monstrous here. And the reason for that is that everything I've passed until now is rotting meat.
At a town hall,
Liar! Liar!
residents furious about what else could be in the air
What are you guys gonna do?
clashed with authorities.
Do you want to go to jail?
Several filed lawsuits against Lineage and other defendants, including the companies that owned and operated the solar panels, claiming negligence.
And Matt Gutman joins us now. What else did your investigation find?
I think one of the major things is that Lineage Logistics and its facilities were linked to 63 fires over the past 10 years in either or around the facilities themselves. That is a lot of fires. One of the other things that we noticed that is not just specific to Lineage is that there seemed to be a larger than anticipated number of fires associated with solar panels on these massive warehouse roofs. This one had 13,000 solar panels. And one of the problems is that when they are not cleaned, that can cause problems. There's also an interface between the AC and the DC power. This is something that we have noticed. It's happened around the country, but specifically as regards to Lineage, there seems to be a large number of fires. They have been sued in multiple states, not just in California, where we are expecting lawsuits, but in Washington State, in Massachusetts, in Texas. And one of the problems is that these cold storage warehouse facilities are often in those mixed industrial urban areas where there are people who live there and there are these massive warehouses. Part of the reason for that is that in order to get the cold food to the places it needs to go, you have to be in somewhat of a central area.
So where do some of those legal proceedings stand?
There are a bunch of them. In Washington State, that's been ongoing for about 2 years. There are allegations in these lawsuits that the fallout from the fire that burned at the Findlay, Washington facility 2 years ago, which burned for 2 months before they could finally get it out. The contamination leached into the soil and contaminated wells, and according to the lawsuit, 2 people died as a result of it. Lineage rejects that, denies any culpability in those deaths. It says it took responsibility for the fire, did the cleanup, but the aftermath, they say, that wasn't us.
When it comes to the LA situation, how is Lineage responding?
Well, we have 4 pages of statements from them. They have really piled on. Essentially, they're saying one of the major concerns at the beginning was this ammonia leak, right? In the piece that we did, you hear LA Fire saying there's an ammonia leak, everybody back off, and it forced them to take a defensive stance to fight the fire. They couldn't go on the roof, and they basically had to do standoff firefighting, which is try to arc water onto the roof. But it was so big they couldn't get at it. That's why they had to have helicopters and those massive Chinooks that you saw dumping water from afar. We do know that there was ammonia, about 20,000 pounds of it in the building, and that was what law enforcement and fire officials believe really ignited the fire, made it take off. And when I was there, I saw the hoses where the ammonia came out. The other thing is that they say that health and safety of their staff, of the community, is paramount to them. They're doing everything to make everybody whole, and that nobody got hurt in the fire, which is important, and that we knew from the very start, at least physically, initially. So they have essentially said, we're taking care of the people who are there, we're taking care of our people, and at this point they say they've cleaned up about 80% of whatever is left. And that is about 80+ million pounds of food, much of it rotting meat.
All right, Matt Gutman, we know you'll stay on top of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindsay.